Welcome to episode 12 of Pod is Killing Me. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Jeff.
And on today's episode, we're once again talking about Life is Killing Me, and we'll finally be getting into the songs. Yes. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing pretty good, and it's going to be extra fun to go over the part about this, to do this part of the album. We get to go over the songs, the part the band themselves apparently hated.
Right. Yeah, I've got a bone to pick with them after those interview quotes. I'm going to take them to task here in a bit, but there were a couple things I didn't catch that I left out of the last one. I didn't realize. So, of course, this was 2003, so this album was leaked onto the internet before it was released. Ooh. Like everything was back then. And which prompted Josh to put a message online complaining about it, saying that it basically was taking food out of the band's mouths.
And if he finds out any of you pirated it and he's helping you as an EMT later, let's just say don't be surprised if there's a little air hole in your IV. Only way your family's going to see you again is with a creepy green light.
Yeah, I was like, but that I thought that was just
what's funny?
Pretty much a sign of the times, really.
That is a really good point, because yeah, we kind of made references to that, mostly in the more legit phase. Like, we didn't really go too much into how funny and hilariously awful like LimeWire and Kazaa was as like downloading services that had replaced the dead Napster. But there is a difference, because people often will look at like Lars. Like, Lars is the poster child for who complained about downloading music. I think there's a difference, though, in being, like, one of the biggest bands in the world where, like, it's pretty much guaranteed at this point you're pretty safe.
Right, yeah.
It's another thing entirely when you're a band that's kind of like a B tier level. Like, it's enough that you don't need to have a daytime job anymore. You're making a living back when you could still do that without being super famous. But every dollar fucking counts. And especially with the way those record contracts work. And so, yeah, I could kind of see being salty about that, because that is the difference between needing to work a part-time job again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely get it.
Yeah, but when you make it to A-list and you weren't locked into like a TLC style, contract where, you sell like, 20 million albums, but, you somehow got only 40 grand out of it to split between three of you, then yeah, like in which case, if that was the case, then I would actually be demanding people download just so the other assholes don't get any money out of it. If I ain't getting paid either, if I'm not going to get paid off this work, then no one else should either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as someone who was a huge pirater, I mean, I don't really have too many like legs to get a high horse on. It's just more of like the public perception. It's like everyone just goes straight to Lars, and it's like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And principally, you're not 100% incorrect, but it did lead to the funniest thing ever, though, around that time period as well. If you remember, like 2003-04, which was you wouldn't download, you wouldn't download a car, would you? Those commercials before movies. And it's like, could you do that? Because that would be amazing, not have to pay like 8% APR interest from a dealership. Are you kidding? I could cut out the middle. I could download my car. It's like fucking, I like how they're like, you wouldn't get a deal too good to be true, would you? It just makes it sound more appealing. And there's just a bunch of like young guys running around doing like parkour through like an alley, being chased by feds.
Some young hoodlums.
Yeah, it's like, dude, that's totally the kind of guy with the great breathing technique and athleticism I associate with hackers.
Spry young hoodlums.
Yeah.
They're a Fine Young Cannibals cover band.
But the guy can't do falsetto. So that's kind of pointless.
He actually sounds like Peter Steele.
Yeah, but they got him.
Me crazy.
But they put him in the band because, like the other singer, he kind of looks a little like Forrest Gump. When I was a little kid, I remember being like, "Is he? Without ever saying what I was thinking. Why does he look like that?" Is all I could say. And then I hear his voice, right? What have you done? And I was just kind of like, good thing. It's just kind of like, why did he looks like and he sounds like that? Mom, what's his deal? I genuinely, by the way, 100%, that is not me being funny. I genuinely thought that. And he does have the Forrest Gump hairline where it's like the part here goes way back.
I also had just another funny quote from Peter I wanted to drop really quickly. The whole like drinking wine thing.
Yes. Are you talking about spitting it out?
No, just like, his whole thing with always like drinking red wine on stage and stuff. That's just like stage fright, apparently.
That makes sense, actually.
He said there's a direct proportional relationship between the amount of alcohol I had to drink before going on stage and the amount of people that were going to be there. It became more and more difficult after drinking beer or while drinking beer on stage to execute vocals in between burps. So I switched over to wine because it was not carbonated.
Smart move, man. Could you imagine him trying to like singing like "Love You to Death" with that?
Just like fucking Homer Simpson burps in the middle of
like big Barney burps, Let me love you to death. Am I good enough?
Yeah, and then he also said, I didn't realize it, but it kind of worked in the whole band's image. Like it's a vampire look with the red wine and the romance and his blood, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not a vampire. I'm a fucking alcoholic. I drink for the effect because it loosens up the tongue a little bit. All right. So do you want to get into the songs?
Sure, but Hey, do you see this? Coming in from the wire right now. Oh, man. Looks like we lost ourselves a hero.
Oh, shit. What happened?
Looks like Theodore Kaczynski has just died.
Oh, fuck. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, man.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
He led an amazing life. Whether you agreed with him or not, he led an amazing life.
So, what does it say?
Honestly,
how did he die?
Apparently just died in prison. That's about it.
Just died in prison. You mean he got suicided? They Epsteined him. He was only 81 years old.
That's true. 81-year-olds don't just die in prison.
No, certainly not.
And have access to the greatest healthcare in the world in prison.
Yeah, well, the scum of the earth gets the best of the benefits.
Yeah, exactly.
You've listened to Typo Negative. You've gotten all your political views from Der Untermensch, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. You kind of just believe whatever the New York Post says.
All right. R.I.P. to a real one.
And speaking of dead Polacks, let's go over these songs Peter wrote.
That's a good transition. All right. So first up, we have 13 with it's spelled THIR, the number 13, TEN. It's a nice doomy instrumental. This is also available on the soundtrack for the 6th direct-to-video sequel to the film 7.
Jesus, that's terrible. I was just going to say it's in tribute to the new age of consent that was changed in Texas. It's 13. There's 13 bad habits and I'm killing people for all of them.
Yeah, it's a decent enough little intro for the album. It's nothing too crazy or too revolutionary, but it
does make
nice,
one big
solid
change.
doomy thing. What?
One big change from previous records, it's not a joke.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Like basically the album could have just been called
Skip
No
it.
Laughing Matter.
Yeah.
All right? We're not kidding around anymore.
Finally.
Yeah, right? Now listen to the album that has songs like I Like Goyles and How Could She on it.
Yeah. So this one is also known as Uncle Freddy Died? ?
What?
It's inspired by a piece of interstitial music from the Munsters.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to do some digging to find out which one, maybe, but...
Sorry, looks like I should take Peter's advice and switch to wine as well. So I could spit it in people's face, too. You want some wine? Hold on. Okay.
Try it with your wife.
Yeah. Then wife will be killing me.
Oh, man. So next up, we have one of their most popular songs, I Don't Want to Be Me. The band's most popular song on the streaming services. Like, kind of inexplicably, it's not one of my favorites of theirs. But
no, I don't hate it. Really, it's just
yeah. I've actually like kind of grown to like it, but at first when I heard it, I was like, this sounds like half-assed or something.
You know what it feels like? It feels like a version of the band. If all of the excess things that the hardcore fans go on about, what if those things were not there and it was just kind of the solid foundation, but without all the things that put it over the top? That's kind of what it is. And like you had said in the previous ep, I think it was Kenny said that he basically told Peter, like, I bet you can't write a simple song. And it seemed like he kind of like goaded him to it the way like The Who kind of did with Paul McCartney. I guess that's why Paul McCartney wrote Helter Skelter, was because like The Who was bragging about being like the loudest and most like out there kind of like hard band. And so I guess that made Paul kind of just got that competitive spirit of, oh yeah, we'll see about that.
Oh,
and
shit.
it's like, well, I'm going to make a song so crazy it's going to inspire the Manson murders, just kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, if the Who ever inspired someone to kill Sharon Tate, let me know. Just kind of.
Yeah. So Kenny seems to think it gained popularity because it was covered by some younger bands. I guess a few bands have covered it, but the only one I'd really heard of was Trivium. I've kind of avoided them somehow, despite being a pretty big metal fan. So. I haven't even bothered listening to their cover, to be honest. But
in my mind, I like to imagine that the only cover was just by the Ataris and that it was this instead of Boys of Summer.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, the guitar lead kind of reminds me of the synth lead in Don Henley's Boys of Summer, and also, coincidentally, that Atari's cover of it came out in 2003 as well, just 3 months before this came out.
Because when you hear just that guitar lead, you're like, oh, you could easily put a Tom DeLonge vocal on this. Like it's the closest thing they've ever come to having something where you could have like I miss you, I see you,
It's catchy.
It is, though.
It's really good.
And it has that cool thing at the very end, though, where it kind of like drones out for a while. Like
it's the ambient outro. I guess it's titled "I'm No More." It like has a title.
So shit. See, I did not know that, but that part's cool as hell. And and that's where like I don't know if people listen to it all the way to the end. And this is like, to me, what I would say is, sure, a nice foot in the door, but I don't like, unlike Christian Woman, I think, at least with Christian Woman, I feel like if your foot gets in the door with this, the likelihood follow-up songs can keep you would be really huge. Whereas I think if this song is your foot in the door, the likelihood you go, and you turn around and leave when you have to hear something like, Green Man or fucking like Black Number One, the likelihood that you're like, oh, this isn't me, And so that's why some things I think are good primers, and I'm like, I guess it's a good first song to use for people, but I just don't know if it's very representative of what their sound and what they really are.
Yeah, I would agree. Even for their like faster songs like this, it's not that representative of them because it just seems light. But I do think Peter's lyrics and Josh's keyboard production flourishes help punch it up. I do love Kenny's guitar lead. That's just, I don't know. It's a solid enough song.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that it has like 38 million plays on Spotify, and the rest, I think the next highest is maybe like 8 million or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's Anesthesia. Let me look it up.
See, that's interesting, because that to me is like a deep cut. That feels like it should be like deep cut fan favorite.
Yeah, Anesthesia is 8 million. That's so interesting.
What? You know what's crazy about that? Their Spotify stuff suggests to me that they are one of those bands that have a very opposite thing that happened where wouldn't you assume Christian Woman would be number one?
Yeah.
Or Black Number One, like one of the two Bloody Kisses songs should be like right there, and like it's neither. That's really fascinating.
Black Number One I meant on that album. Sorry, I meant for that album.
Oh, okay.
Anesthesia is second. Black Number One is their second highest played song on Spotify. Okay. It's at 33 or almost 34 million. So it's only 4 million behind.
Yeah, if only it was 6.
You want to guess what number 3 is?
It's not Christian Woman, is it?
No.
What is it?
Love You to Death.
Oh, wow. Okay. There we go.
26 million.
So I Don't Want to Be Me is just kind of an overall outlier then. Okay, that makes way more sense then. I was just going to say, if somehow the Life Is Killing Me songs are hanging out all on the top, I was going to be like, that is a little bit weird.
No, yeah, but it is still interesting that Anesthesia... But yeah, so do you have anything else on that one?
No, just that it's a very, very good song. Not exactly perfect. Shouldn't say there's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't hit quite like the others do, but it's very fine. Yeah. So C-. Yeah. I like the idea of a description and then the letter grade being very different from each other, where you're like, do you give those at different times? No, not a C- at all. Definitely much better than that.
Yeah, it's for me, it's a solid song. But yeah, it's just fun. Apparently in the video, it's that guy Dan Fogler, who for some reason I used to get him mixed up with Josh Gad, but they're different people.
Ew, that would automatically lower that song a whole letter grade. Unless it was Josh Gad singing very earnestly that he doesn't want to be himself.
It's like, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, nobody does, dude.
Sucks. So moving on, the next song, the very Beatles-esque Less Than Zero.
Yeah, this one kind of reminds me of their Day Tripper medley.
Does it?
No, wait. I'm just kidding. Meaning Beatles influence. I can't put 2 and 2 together.
You've gotten me with that joke a couple times. I thought maybe there's something specific in there that sounded like one of those songs.
It's like songwriting wise,
Yeah, I've always really liked this one.
Yeah, you know what it is, and I think you have already said this. You've gone on record on this, I believe, which is that you're a sucker for heavy songs that use sitar, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the use of sitar. I always jokingly nicknamed this song Norwegian Steel.
I love the what is it, like how you pronounce it, a tambura or whatever, like that like percussion instrument.
Yes.
And Peter is like doing like it sounds like he's doing a John Lennon impression almost with a like
yeah, exactly.
But fucking yeah, around the 2-minute mark you get one of those big ass Sabbath riffs they always lay down at just the right time.
That one?
Yeah, and then we get the album's first guest appearance. Who
would that be?
Dracula.
Oh, he's
laying
back.
down some keys again.
Ah, it's nice to see the creatures of the night back.
Yeah. He's back in the game. He'd been given the boot from Madonna's record label after a couple of albums flopped. So he was actually credited on this originally, but Roadrunner removed all references to him playing after his cancellation during the early stages of the Me Too movement.
Very early stages. You have to remember, though, Dracula's been around a long time. He's been canceled a lot.
Yeah, he's pretty much uncancelable at this point. He just keeps coming back.
Yeah. I like the idea, like, you can't cancel the dead, and it's like a coffin with just a hand coming out, you know? But Dracula, we canceled you ages ago. I'm surprised there isn't like a Ben Garrison cartoon with like a stake that's labeled canceling and like Van Helsing's like labeled like woke mob or something. And for some reason, Dracula, the vampiric figure, is like honest American or something.
Hey, you know, God helps those who help themselves, and Dracula definitely helps himself.
To blood.
But exactly.
But no, this song is really good, and it's kind of funny because when I'm hearing these, I was hearing them since you've told me those quotes and comments and everything. I was like re-listening to this whole thing, like they didn't like any of this. That's all I kept thinking to myself over and over again.
And yeah, me too. It just kept blowing me away.
The only thing I think of is maybe the whole album as a whole just doesn't feel like a cohesive piece or something. But every song has, if you don't like this minute of it, wait another minute and something's going to kick in. You know, like even you said, and everything I've noticed, all little notes I do have, all have remarks like 2 minutes in, 5 minutes in, and like a remark of what comes next. Because every song does that. And there's some gold in this. I wonder if that definitely. Sabbath riff part was maybe just something that, like, maybe it feels like they cobbled it together, like the main sitar part of the song, and then that Sabbath riff part were maybe like completely separate things that they just kind of were like, fine, you know what, let's just put them together. And like, maybe they were never happy about that. Like, no, this was supposed to be for something else, but they just didn't quite have it together. So maybe there's always been resentment over, now this is locked into a song I didn't want in there.
Yeah, it could be, because this is another one that's split into separate, like, cantos.
Into what?
like what is it, like cantos or some shit?
No, I don't know.
I don't know. It's a fucking term in music, dude. I know what it means. That's why I said it.
Okay.
There's 3 different movements, let's say, but the first one is called negative pleasure, in parentheses, agony. Okay. And it is that's the one that runs up to 2 minutes and 5 seconds when you negative sustenance, in parentheses, secretions, comes in. And that is from 2 minutes and 5 seconds to 3:52. So if you would like to know what the third one is, it's negative pleasure agony reprised. So
there it is. Yeah. A lot of reprisals on this.
Yeah. But that buried yelling around 3:45 when it comes back in, like, sounds kind of like Richard Patrick of Filter to me.
You gotta put a random, like, scream in there. Trip like I do. It's like, what would happen if Perry Farrell and, like, and like a pop punk guy kind of combined their weird voice.
Do you have anything else for Less Than Zero? Or
No, that really was it. So
yeah, I didn't really get anything about the lyrics in here, but oh well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Less Than Zero. I guess you could also call it Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so moving on to the next track, we have Todd's Ship Gods, the song about Pete's father who died while they were touring Bloody Kisses. But then, yeah, the name comes from the shipyard that his dad worked in. It's called Todd Shipyard. Excuse me, Todd Shipyard in Brooklyn, and the sounds in the intro were actually recorded there.
Oh, so, I see.
Yeah, I guess it's not too far from the studio where the band recorded the album, so they just went down there and did some field recordings.
That's really sweet, actually. I mean, you know, it's interesting referencing that about his dad because, once again, I thought it was updated to understand that his dad also died in 9/11. Peter has a bit of a George Santos like backstory going, apparently. I know. Sometimes I've heard he's alive, so you really don't know these things. But this song fucking kicks ass.
This is another one that kind of grabbed me from the beginning.
Yeah, same here. This was an instant for me. Both of these Less Than Zero and Todd Ship Gods. It was like an early fave of mine. I had joked, I think I'd sent it to you just by itself, but just the opening of it, like when the music finally kicks in the main riff and those drums, I always said it always feels like something that could like plausibly play in the opening of like a shock jock, you know, like kind of show. And
then like the ding 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 on the bell.
Yeah, exactly. You're listening to KLS. You know,
yeah.
You could totally.
You're listening to "Wife Is Killing Me."
Yeah.
Fuck. I don't know where I'm gonna put that still, but
I don't know. It could open the show. We could use that riff.
Yeah.
But no, this song is really, really great, though. I actually really like it.
Yeah, I love Pete getting sentimental with his lyrics, but
yeah, he gets sentimental in kind of odd ways sometimes too, in ways like you just really wouldn't expect. Like we'll hear a lot more of that later on this record too, where you just like in places definitely. You just the last thing you'd expect from him.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, and maybe the whole "I won't cry above all things, boy, be a man" thing reads like a bit like toxic masculinity these days. But
yeah, which is what killed
honestly,
him.
There's masculinity toxicity is what killed him. It's a different thing. It's when you have too much testosterone and you just die from it.
I just assume that he, like, when he reconverted, got religious, that he began semen retention and it fucking killed him. He began testicular tanning.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Peter doing a bunch of like bizarre, weird, like goop shit because he's suddenly like not secure in being a man. The kind of figure who would make other people insecure about being a man.
Yeah. But I don't know, you know, I feel like honestly there's some grown adults that could take a cue from this, like those people that record themselves watching the trailer for the newest MCU movie and start weeping like they've just witnessed the birth of their child.
Well, in a way, because they're just always being reborn as children over and over again. So. Honestly, I want you to keep that image of those guys in mind for a couple of songs later. So there is something to that.
Yeah. But I've always loved Peter's vocal melodies on this, and like Kenny's delayed guitar about halfway through the song with Josh's synth layer underneath.
Oh, that like solo that he kind of does?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
just
so
that really
gorgeous.
simple thing. It's so nice, yeah.
That is one of those things that feels... it is, the best way to put it is it's beautifully euphoric. It is the equivalent of like, if you could score in a heavy song like that, a moment where it would be like, okay, let's say you're getting sentimental about a parent. What would it be like if their hand came through and just touched you for a second? Like this beautiful glow. Like there is something quite gorgeous and touching about that, especially when you figure out what it's about, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and Todd Ship Gods. I mean, God, that was our second choice for the name of the show. So
Todd's Ship Pods.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, a competitor has now stolen that name and apparently has been trash talking us. But,
yeah, so we're gonna have to stay ahead of the story here.
Yeah, we're not gonna lower ourselves to attacking them. So, but just know, you know, we hear it. We hear everything.
Yeah, don't think we aren't aware of this, and and they'll get there soon.
That's right.
And when we do, it'll be a dish best served coldly. But before we get there, is there anything else for Todd's?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Peter's bass line during the "I Won't Cry" part is really cool. He's kind of just like jamming out on that bass, you know, slapping those strings.
He's playing like Flea. His whole head's moving.
And of course, you know, the ooh. Oh
yeah, that part's great.
So it's so like, I don't know, it's pretty infectious.
Like you hear these kind of like weird noises in the background with that.
Yeah,
it's fucking kick-ass,
like weird
percussion.
Industrial percussion. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking phenomenal.
Underrated song. I feel like this album has a lot of songs on it that are fucking underrated.
You know what's funny about them? I know what it partially is. This is a band known for like their epics, right? Every song, even the songs that you'd think would be slight on like October Rust, like, oh, this isn't that long. You're like, oh, they're all 8.5 minutes, you know, like, and then you're getting some of these here and they're kick ass, but they're all like, you know, they're like the fun size Snickers version of one of their other songs, you know?
Yeah. Even though they're like 6 minutes long still.
Yeah. You're like, that's nothing. Yeah. That's it. And, you know, how long are these ones again? I forget. I feel like these are 4.5. Yeah. I'm looking.
Some of them are like, I mean, some of the longer ones are around like 6 minutes. Let me see. I Don't Want to Be Me is 5 minutes long, but it does have that long outro. It's like 1.5 minutes at least.
God, they are
Less Than Zero's 5.5.
Todd Ship Gods is a low 4. Okay, there we go. Because I was thinking these fly by.
Yeah, they do. The album seems long though. It does seem like overly long, kind of. I do think that is maybe like one legitimate criticism is maybe they could have trimmed a little bit of the fat off of this, but I do feel like that's Peter's work ethic, his working class roots. He's like, you know, give the, you know, people are going to pay $18 for this.
18
give them their money's
American
worth.
dollars. Yeah, for sure. You know the phrase, you know, more bang for your buck. For sure, you know that phrase came out of his mouth a few times.
Right.
You don't want to like make this a nice tight 10, you know, and then you know the like more bang for your buck for sure came out of his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, moving on to the next song. Oh. I Like Goyles. Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
We are actually recording and releasing this during Pride Month, completely not planned in any way, just kind of happened, but kind of a funny coincidence.
Exactly.
I just want to say, you know, whatever your sexuality or gender identity, however you choose to express yourself, I support you and you deserve the full rights of everyone else. But this song is pretty damn fun.
Yeah, it is a pretty fun song. The nickname of this song could have just as easily been the exact same song, just called I'm Not Gay. I'm not gay.
You know, it's like it's very crude and offensive. But the lyrics do, like, as they're so bad, but they do kind of crack me up. I saw there's a quote on genius.com. There's some comments on the lyrics, and someone commented, "This is too stupid to be offensive."
You know what it feels like? It's like if
kind of agree.
It's like if Mad TV wrote a typo negative song.
That's fucking great.
You know, then there's another song just called like I'm Not Chinese or something. It's like a B-side.
There's a Mrs. Swan sketch.
I don't go around eating all that dog. You know, it's just like kind of yelling all this shit. But it's just so badly done that you're kind of like, well, you know what? Just let him have it.
Yeah. I love that this album has 2 like super sentimental songs dedicated to Pete's beloved parents, one dead and one in failing health. And right in between, just a goofy punk song with some of the most homophobic lyrics ever written.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Hey, by the way, I know that's happened. I know I was in there in 1996, but 7 years is more than enough time to finally respond about the fact that I was in Playgirl.
Yeah, I did find a quote from him talking about this. He said, what the song happens to be about is gay guys trying to pick me up, specifically after I did the Playgirl spread. Duh. 7 or 8 years ago, whenever it was. We did a lot of in-store signings around then, and occasionally guys came up with that issue of Playgirl and wanted me to sign the centerfold. I have no problem with that, except the pages were stuck together. They slipped...
Why would you?
They try to slip me their phone numbers, and they could be very aggressive, you know, just like women can be aggressive. Finally, I'd say, "Hey, man, I like girls, okay? Thanks, but no thanks." That song is kind of tongue in cheek, but I'm not going to say which pair of cheeks.
I'll say this. For 2003, Peter Steele was the world's most progressive man on this issue. You know, lest you forget what the Democratic Party's official position of being gay and gay marriage was at this time.
Right.
They're going to make gay marriage a thing, and then every Democrat is like, "No, we're not. we think it's even grosser than you." You know. Listen. That's not what matters right now, okay, guys. What matters is agreeing with the war in Iraq, but just for some weird reason making the case that maybe we should be in charge of it. You know, we accept all of your premises, you know, and for some reason wonder why we lose the debate.
Yeah.
But he is the world's most progressive man on that song for 2003.
That's hilarious.
You know what? That song could have easily been somehow on a soundtrack to, like, if Singled Out from MTV had it like it had its own soundtrack. That feels like a song that just would have been in there. Would have had like Jenny McCarthy or maybe Carmen Electra dancing around in a video for it or something. It just had that same weird, like, overly hetero, like, frat boy energy.
Yeah, for real.
You got anything else on that one?
I was just gonna say the organ reminds me of something, but I can't picture it.
Oh, I know what this
is. Is it Hey Mickey?
Oh, maybe a little bit of Tony Basil.
Kind of
yeah. But Peter with a bunch of other fat cheerleaders all just dancing around. I like Goyles. I just have a note in here that I just wrote, "If I Don't Want to Be Me" was exclusively about gay panic. I don't want to be gay anymore. No.
And Josh's when the second verse comes in, like, listen closely. Josh's keys are like fucking really cool there, because it's like the first time they play it, it's just pretty dry. You can't really tell if he's even doing anything, but then when the verse comes back in the second time, you get the full, like, he's just like doing some kind of shit that sounds really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know exactly what that is. Yeah, that's all I've got for that one.
Alrighty, are we ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, and the next one is A Dish Best Served Coldly, the Revenge Song. I fucking love this song.
Yeah, this one grew on me. This one took a bit, but it did. Mostly because at first, I'm always like, but then you remember, it's typo negative. If you don't like where it starts, and it's not that I dislike it, but it just wasn't grabbing me. Wait 2 minutes. They will always come through. And, the acoustic guitar has a tone that I best describe as a Scorpions power ballad kind of tone to it.
Yeah, it's very like, I'm not sure what that is. If it's just like, you know, like multi-tracked or something.
Yeah, but
like give it that chorus effect, but it's like, yeah, it's very like, I don't know.
Like,
yeah, it's funny sounding.
Like the opening of like Winds of Change, or maybe not that one, but like Someone Like You, or one of their other big ballads. They all have that same guitar when you just hear like, you know, some German guy named like Klaus or something singing the first verse, and then the song kicks in, right? And so it's kind of what I'm like, oh, he's doing a second. Okay, it's still taking a while. But then like, you know, what he's singing, of course, right away catches your ear. So you're kind of like, oh, wait, what's he? You already know by the title, but like,
you get some cool bass noodling from Pete in that intro, like high on the neck.
Yeah, he does a lot of that. It's like really good. I was gonna say, and it doesn't sound like his typical bass. We were talking about that on the
no fuzz.
Yeah,
it's completely clean.
And
we get a new Pete sound in this too.
Which one?
Like, I don't know if we've heard this one before, but when the music, right before the music kicks in, you get a bleh.
Yeah, that was Pete. Apparently, Pete learned that from the Baba Yaga. Apparently, he was in a house in the woods that was like standing on two big bird legs or something, and it's just some old like lady like.
But yeah, this was one that, you know, the first however many times I listened to this album, because I just tend to listen to albums as a whole piece. This one would kind of wash over me a little bit, or kind of blend in. Especially with the way they blend songs. Into the next song. Yeah, blend into the next song a little bit. So it just didn't really grab me. But when I was sitting down to like take notes for this episode and really listen to each of these songs individually, it really grabbed me. Like that part where it takes off around 2:05.
Yes.
So fucking good. That simple lead thing that Kenny's doing, and Josh's synths and the high vocals buried underneath. It's like one of my favorite moments on the entire album.
Yeah, that how many times must I say that I'm not sorry thing. And it lasts like a minute, and then it goes into this other thing at the 3-minute mark. Around 3 minutes.
It has like that like delayed cowbell thing.
Yeah, it totally ding. and then that part, that 2 minute, that 1 minute part there, that how many, you know, times must I say I'm not sorry, and all that stuff he's doing, that comes back as a reprise at the end. Oh, and they build it up so gorgeous. And then they
just keep adding to it.
Like backing vocal thing he does.
So good.
Oh my God, I love it. And I apologize for even doing that. But he hits a lot of like falsetto there, and it's so lush sounding. The lushness almost takes me to bordering on October Rust.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. And I have a note about that because
November Dust.
I don't know. Did you have anything else?
No. Oh no, go for it, man.
Yeah. Okay, well, shut up, Jeff. Shut the fuck up. Be quiet. Shh. Shh. I want to take this time to speak directly to Josh and Ken, or not Josh. Josh has nothing to do with this, sorry. I'm not bringing him into it.
Josh, don't listen.
Josh has taken a vow of silence and has not spoken in years, but Kenny and Johnny, if anyone knows them and can get this to them, I want you to listen. What's with all the hate for this album? The whole, like, there's one, maybe two good songs on there and the rest aren't even worth mentioning. What the fuck? Like,
yeah, seriously.
In my opinion, this is just one of several songs that can go toe-to-toe with the best album tracks from any of the other albums. I don't think there's a single dud on this entire album. In fact, this might prove to be controversial, but I think that as an album, this works better than Bloody Kisses. While there's nothing as immediately revelatory as Christian Woman, Black Number 1, Summer Breeze, or Can't Lose You, every trick the band learned in the ensuing years is put to great use on this album, and everything Peter went through in his personal life makes the emotional high points much more resonant, at least for me. There are also no silly interludes breaking up the flow of the album, and not to mention, I'm not trying to knock Bloody Kisses, but one of the best songs from that era, Blood and Fire, ended up receiving a far superior redone version that in my eyes makes the original sound limp and unfinished. So that's my hot take. Life is Killing Me is better than Bloody Kisses.
Jesus. Okay, man. Yeah, not since somebody said that they thought Abbey Road was better than Please Please Me. I haven't heard anything quite so controversial.
Well, you want to fight about it?
Yeah.
I'm ready to fight right through this computer screen.
All right, now listen. You can't tell me that 13 was a better opener than Machine Screw. I'm going to have to disagree with you here, Gene. You're just going to pull the Roger Ebert. No, I think Bloody Kisses had a lot of merit to it. And I think Life is Killing Me falls flat in a lot of areas where you seem to think it works. I watched a lot of Siskel and Ebert, so I'm always used to the way they try to, own each other, which is really quite funny. And if you ever seen outtakes from that show, they're both in their weird position, and we'll be back after these messages. And then when the camera hits cut, they start fucking going at each other, but they never break their spots. They keep sitting in the exact same position. Yeah, you fucking pompous idiot asshole. And they start really going at each other. But then they'll break into Roger especially be really nasty about it, and then one of them will say something and they'll start laughing. And it's it's really cool. But yeah,
I have seen that actually.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, I have to disagree with you here, Gene. Life is Killing Me is good. I just don't think it's great. I just don't think it has an overall flow or particularly a theme, whereas Bloody Kisses was much more revelatory. It was the shock of the new and the creation of a whole new genre. And of course, it's going to be uneven, but that is ultimately part of its charm. You know what's funny?
Is this being you or is this you being Roger Ebert?
That's me being Roger Ebert.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I actually kind of agree with you on the Life is Killing Me thing with the Bloody Kisses thing. I was just kind of giving the point of view of how to debate that.
We're supposed to fight about this. It'd be better for the podcast if we were at each other's throats over this, but that's okay. We'll find something else to feud over.
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure we'll really come to blows on Dead again, so... An album that has two good songs. No, just kidding. A really ignorant
All right,
opinion.
Let's go. All right, well, fuck. Looks like it was a draw. Apparently you've trained since the last time we sparred.
No, what we'll do is we'll make it like Dragon Ball, where we'll just powering up being mad at each other, but nothing ever... Yeah, and then nothing ever happens. He's at power levels I've never seen before. Speaking of watching Dragon Ball Z, the next song is a tribute to people who are autistic. It's called How Could She?
Yeah, so the next song is How Could She? And oddly enough, this is one of Pete's two favorite songs on the album.
You know what's funny? It kind of works for me a lot too.
I really like it, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. But I do like that. I was kind of picturing it as being about like all my dead-ended dating app matches I've had that are just like, we've matched and chatted a bit, maybe had one date or something, and they just went nowhere. But because they're about as real to me as all those TV women were to Peter. But I just imagine
women in general.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I was going to jokingly call this the ultimate I Could Fix Her song. And it was going to be not about cartoon women or anything, but rather it was going to be, here's my list, okay? Tanya Harding, Ghislaine Maxwell, Susan Smith, Clinton, Hillary, Casey, Anthony. And it's just going to be a whole bunch of... How could she, Why can't I fix her? Just a bunch of like the world's like the worst women in the world. Carla Homolka. Yeah, what's that?
Eileen Warnos, Carla.
She was in my list. Yeah.
Oh, God.
And it's just this big Elizabeth Bathory. You can go with all
the other Peter's Elizabeth too.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
There's like 6 Elizabeths in a row.
Except our friend of the show, Elizabeth, our research assistant.
No, she'll be here too. I'll say the whole name right now. No, I was kidding. But yeah, like the song is pretty great. It opens with some really hilarious fucking like over the top, like I call it Van Halen guitaring.
Yeah.
It's doing a lot of that.
Down, and then just the solo.
Yeah,
over that.
Soloing in the song. I'm like, you never hear Kenny do that.
Yeah,
his solos never do that. I'm like, just this one song. But once again, I love the vocal melody to naming all the women. And I had some joke bit here that I can't seem to remember exactly. Oh, I called How Could She could function, not for 2003, but for 2023. This could function as a modern autistic version of like We Didn't Start the Fire, where it's just a bunch of like, it literally is just somebody doing the equivalent that did for history, which is just naming things and the blah, here's the name of a thing over and over again. And it's just like not really a melody. Whereas this would just be the names of things, but it's just cartoons and like people on TV. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like the modern like soy consumer, like that would be kind of their level of understanding of reality, would just be mediated entirely through TV and film. And
I do think it's Peter, so it's all women.
Yeah, well, yeah. Can you imagine if he had
How Could She?
Well, could you imagine if he had like, How Could He? Why can't I bust when we fuck? And then he starts naming all these guys where he does bust too, and it's like Fred Flintstone, Jackie Gleason. It's like
that's weird. That's fucking great.
Tim Taylor. Like for some reason it ends with Tim the Toolman Taylor. It's always which one do you want to end on? There's a little breakdown at about like the 3-minute mark too, and it kind of reminds that little breakdown then kind of reminds me a little bit of a hint of Slow, Deep, and Hard on there. It's hard to explain.
I can see it.
Yeah, but it kind of gives me that same feeling a little bit, like a little bit of returning to the roots.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I feel like they touch upon all the different eras really well in this.
Yeah, exactly. This feels like if somebody made a greatest hits record as a new album. This was everything that the legend of Chris Gaines was supposed to be. Supposed to like feeling like
Come on, man. We don't need to talk bad about Chris Gaines on this.
What I mean is that there's supposed to be like a 10-year or 15-year greatest hits fake record, and every song sounded produced like it was produced a week ago. It all sounded like it was made in 1998. Where it was like, what if this song that's supposed to be 1985 sounded like Savage Garden? And what if this other song that was supposed to be released in 1996 also sounded like Savage Garden? Because that's what rock music is, right?
Yeah.
When you have a soul patch and listen to Savage Garden.
I'm still waiting for Chris Gaines to come out of retirement.
Oh man, I just was hoping they'd release all those old albums.
It's not his fault. Yeah, it's when he's gonna. I mean, hey, he did release them. He just needs to re-release them.
Yeah, I just wish they weren't, like stuck like weird label issues. Because I'd love to buy Pornocopia. Look up Chris Gaines' Pornocopia as an album cover. And remember, when you see it, that was supposed to have been fake released in like fake 1988. Yeah, it's like that. Nothing about that looks like 1988.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean?
Oh yeah, he was a prophet. And then it gets like weird religious iconography, because the story of it's supposed to be that he converts and like disappears.
Yeah,
because it was supposed to be a movie, apparently. Like there was this whole thing that just, thank God. Well, shouldn't say thank God. It would have been cool if it happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Typo Negative, for their part, they had a inside the spine under the CD tray for this had the message: Typo Negative is a non-profit organization, with profit spelled PROPHET.
Well, by the next album, that would not be true.
Right, yeah, he changed his tune on that real quick.
Yeah. He stopped hanging out with Penn Jillette.
Which is the next song, kind of interestingly, is another good contrast with that. Life is Killing Me. Peter's ode to pulling the plug.
Now, just to be certain, sometimes Peter, kind of like I Like Goyles and stuff, sometimes Peter sings from kind of a tongue-in-cheek, winking point of view. So this is by no means him directly contradicting the mission of the Pod is Killing Me Foundation, which has currently kept multiple copies of him alive in different stasis tanks. Peter by no means would be opposed to any of those things.
No, he changed a lot by the end, you know. He was a changed man.
Exactly, for the better.
I mean, and we will also change him for the better.
Yeah.
Not just by bringing him back to life, but by improving him.
Yeah, he'll be like Meta Ridley in Metroid Prime.
Or Super Shredder in TMNT 2.
He's just super bulked out.
He has big spikes on him and shit.
Yeah, he comes out to play a show, then he just smashes an entire harbor and it collapses on him, and that's the end.
You know, Peter would have played a pretty badass, like, bulked up version of Casey Jones.
Oh, shit. That would have been amazing. Yeah, because then you'd have, like, a typo negative version of Casey Jones, as opposed to what the first movie had, which was the Pop Will Eat Itself version of Casey Jones.
I don't remember that at all. That's hilarious.
If you look up a Pop Will Eat Itself video and then just look up any scene from that first movie with him, you're like, they look identical.
That's why they did it.
Yeah, they look exactly the same. And even the Pop Will Eat Itself music videos, for one or two of them, that guy's like in a spinning office chair, and behind him is one of those things where it's like 8 or 10 TV monitors. all like showing different things. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that what like Shredder apparently watches all the time?
You know? All the videos were just filmed on set.
Yeah, exactly.
They let the pop will eat itself guy come to the movie set.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is another one that kind of took me a while to absorb, but it's another one of my favorites now. It's a hugely underrated song in their catalog.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The song is pretty great. I will say, though, one of the things that's a little bit funny to me is the first lyric. And the moment I first heard it, it was enough that I like, whoa, and just paused it. Like, where is he going with this? Was when he says, like a Jew.
Like a Jew.
Yeah, and I was like, where, Pete? I said, life is killing me was actually going to be him writing about, what do you call it? Writing about the doctor's plot from Joseph Stalin's point of view. Jews are killing me. For those who don't remember, within the last year of his life, Stalin became convinced that all the doctors were Jews and that therefore they were secretly plotting to kill him. And he was in the middle of making a giant purge list to get rid of them all when a stroke happened or whatever it was. And he thankfully that never came to pass. So, yeah. And also, I like his references to these guys all wearing masks and stuff. And I was like, like the idea of this song being like being adopted crudely, by like the like anti-COVID people or whatever.
Yeah. That's fucking great.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh my God, like doctors, I don't trust you. It's like, you know, and they would just put it as just Fauci specifically, and then like with your masks, and it's like, see, like the guy's a prophet.
Yeah, this does have some funny lyrics. Like, I love the part when he says, your doctorate and PhD would wipe my ass etched in feces. Yeah. And I was like, is this one of the songs that he wrote the lyrics to while he was taking a shit, like Kenny was talking about in the quote I read last episode?
Peter's got kind of a Martin Luther thing going. He's just constantly talking about shit.
I also love your parents saved or had the bucks. Your education stems from luck.
Oof, like, damn, Peter.
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I feel like, you know, Peter's a working class guy. He never betrayed his roots.
I like the idea that even though the years wouldn't line up or whatever, but just jokingly claiming that this is Peter weighing in on the Terry Schiavo controversy of 2005.
Dude, yeah, that's funny.
Musically,
it was about his. I mean, it was inspired by what like his dad went through, I guess. Towards the end of his life. So,
and by extension, Artie Lang's dad. I don't know if you ever knew about that, but like, yeah, like it feels like one of the, like it's another one of those people who like a death of a parent just kind of spiraled them off. And so that's kind of like,
I don't know too much about Artie.
Yeah, well, you know, and the fact that his dad was kind of like in a sad state for a few years like that too.
Yeah, this song kind of delivers everything I want out of a song from them at this stage in their career. Like, you get the huge molten lava doom riffs, the verse and chorus you can't help headbang to, right into that whole like let me die
that
with
part
dignity
kicks
part.
Ass. That riff for that part is yeah, that part fucking rules, and that part kicks like yes,
so sweet. Like from a songwriting and arrangement standpoint, they really knocked it out of the park. Or
that
I
riff,
guess Peter knocked it out of the park with this one. It's a really dynamic song.
That riff is so good in that part. I'm like, that is like classic rock worthy good. Like it's just so fucking catchy.
Yeah, and I mean, I forgot to mention just the huge riff in the beginning with that really loud synth lead, the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Sort of like, it's just like searing. They do bring that back later, but Kenny's guitar in the chorus here is really cool too. It like sort of reminds me of The Cult or something.
Oh God, you know what? That's funny. I feel like that would be like one of the few, like if Typo Negative had done like the Doors did with that Storytellers, where they had all those other guys fill in for Jim for like one or two songs. Mm-hmm. If they had done that, like if there was a Typo Negative version of that, but like they had different people fill in for Peter vocally, I feel like it would actually be a little bit fun to have had Ian Ashbury from The Cult be in one of those.
Yeah, I could definitely picture that. It's not like a similar voice.
No, but it's the same.
It's a similarly like
charisma.
I don't know. Yeah, charisma.
It's shamanic, man.
Swagger.
Yeah.
Peter wearing a bunch of feathers and shit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Peter getting really into, like, Native American mysticism.
I love that mid-tempo chugging in the verses here, but like the additional guitar layers that get added when the verse reprises itself around the 3-minute mark. So good. It's like almost like shoegazy in a way, because they just keep adding more. Like every time the verse comes back, there are these more like delayed, reverby, just highly affected guitar layers that come in, and it's just so fucking cool.
Describing that would make me think of a song like Cherub Rock or like Stars for some reason, just to describe it by words. That's kind of how, but it's not like that.
Yeah, no, yeah, because it's like I mean, like I said, it's like delayed, you know, reverby, spacey, not just like stacking them on top of each other with the same part.
Yeah,
you know,
well, they get more like hum then. You know, like the song Stars kind of in my way, where like there's that main like thing, but then there's like those like there's like 3 or 4 other things with different sounds and tones, but they are like building on each other. It becomes like a big waterfall. It's like when you look up at one coming down at you.
Yeah, this is, I mean, again, like I said, this one took me a little while to absorb. It was like, you know, it took me till I was listening to it for this episode to really like fall in love with it, but it's like, it's like, again, they have so many great songs. I'm constantly like, this is one of my favorite songs by them. But it's like that list is like, you know, 25 or 30 songs long or something.
And each
probably.
album, with each album, I'm like, this is my favorite. Like, you know what? This is one of my MVPs. And it's like, you said that like 8 times on a 13-song album, you know?
Yeah, it's a great song. Did you have anything else?
Oh no, I think you covered that one pretty damn well, actually.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I meant to say, like, you know, when we picked this name for the podcast, I was like, you know, it's like it's not even like my favorite album or favorite song, but it's kind of catchy, it fits. But hey, now there's a lot more meaning to it now that I actually like really love this song and this album, and the fact that I'm going to fight anyone who disagrees with my take on it. Yeah,
there you go. Exactly. Include that has to include Kenny and Johnny.
Yeah. At the same time, I'll fight both of them. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're just like using nunchucks back and forth, like all weird.
I have a bow staff.
So we're gonna fight him like a damn Ninja Turtle.
Okay, but do you have anything else about this song?
No. I think it's all pretty damn well covered, man.
All right. Next up is Nettie.
Okay, so this one's a bit interesting, and this is kind of an outlier in general for a lot of things. Peter touches on things close to this in the past, but never quite like this. Now, we've seen Peter reference various ghouls and ghosts and stuff before. You know, we got Nosferatu referenced in Black Number 1. You know, Dracula, hell, he's played organs on Bloody Kisses and even on this album. He's even referenced, like, you know, monsters like Mrs. Howell from Gilligan's Island. And, but this is the first time I've ever seen Peter so nakedly mourn a beast, you know, especially one in the field of cryptozoology. Now, the song Nessie was Peter's tribute to the Loch Ness Monster. Now, I've never seen Peter express interest in the field of cryptozoology before. I kind of would like to wish that maybe How Could She could have been called How Could It, and he could have had a little verse for all the little monsters he loved as well. You know, we get a Loch Ness Monster, Yeti, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Sasquatch, leprechauns, and Eskimos. You know, like
Eskimos. He thinks Eskimos are like are mythological.
Yeah. How could it? You know. But yeah, that's So Peter, very touching tribute to the death of the Loch Ness Monster, who was unfortunately killed by billionaire Robert Kraft's horrible dipshit son. And you know, remember that famous picture of him standing with his foot on top of it there out in Scotland. You know, it broke your heart because he didn't even shoot it right. That thing bled out for hours before it died.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know about that. That's horrible. But I hate to break it to you, but this song is actually called Nettie, and it's actually about Peter's mom. So honestly, you should feel really bad for all that. You should probably apologize right now because I know a lot of his family. A lot of his family listens to this. So
no, they don't. They all died in whatever the most recent version of all their death was. Actually, you know how they all died, right? They were all big fans of Great White. You know, they were once bitten, twice shy, third time's the urn. But you know, like I said, I wouldn't be too worried about that because everyone he loves is dead. So whoever's still here, it's like, well, clearly he never loved you. I mean, he said so in the song.
Oh man.
But no, this song fucking rules. Actually,
this was an early favorite of mine.
Yes.
That it's just, I mean, it's a pretty simple song, you know, structurally, and it's right to the point. You start out, you get Peter's like deepest baritone of baritones right at the beginning.
Yeah, he's doing the Corpus Christi right away.
Yeah, and then you get that super heavy chugging in the verse. But Kenny's little guitar thing in the chorus is just great too, really tasteful. Peter at his most sentimental.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I guess that makes more sense that it's Nettie, actually, because, I mean, there were certain lyrics where I was like, I don't really know how this fits to, like, a beast, but, you know, I don't really know how, like, a sea monster is, like, watching TV, but, you know.
or being crowned Miss Red Hook.
Yeah, I was kind of like, is there a Red Hook? I assume there's a Red Hook in Scotland, that's all. You know, there's, like, a Boston, England, and there's a Boston, America, right?
Yeah, right.
So I just kind of was like, Red Hook, huh? A little weird, but okay. Maybe because there's a red hook in both, he felt like an affinity. I don't know. And I didn't really know how.
Or maybe Nessie had a red hook stuck in her.
Yeah. I also kind of really didn't understand how Nessie had saved him from himself. So on closer inspection, I guess it really doesn't work that way. I just thought he was wiping the tears off her eyes.
And how did Nessie's compassion create her own hell too? I mean,
she was nice.
It doesn't seem like she's a you know, advanced enough being to feel things like compassion and you know, being in her own personal hell.
Well, I don't know, dude. I mean, I've seen plenty of those like the Dodo channel videos on YouTube where, you know, like a dog and a squirrel become friends or whatever, and my faith in humanity is restored. So like, you know, this
in humanity, not
not in the animal kingdom, or the fact that the natural world kind of hints at something greater and more beautiful than anything we can understand.
No one separated them or attacked them for commingling. Yeah. Faith in humanity restored.
Yeah, exactly. In humanity? Yeah. Never mind
I would have ran up and kicked that fucking duck away from that cat.
Yeah, exactly. You're not supposed to be friends. You're different from each other.
But I was a bit of a mama's boy myself, so Pete's love for his mom always gets to me.
Yeah, this is Peter at his most Principal Skinner kind of writing a song. Oh, just kidding. I'm teasing.
Didn't you say Richard Nixon?
My
mother's a saint.
Yeah. Richard Nixon singing it to himself in the Nixon tapes. Nettie, no need to cry.
True, I am the son of an angel. Yeah. Maternally, not what woman compares.
Yeah. Nixon would fucking say all that shit, no joke.
It's like maternally, not one woman compares. Did you have multiple moms, Peter?
Yeah. He was like Polly Walnuts from Sopranos. Like he was raised by what he thought was his mom was actually his aunt.
That was so sad.
I don't fucking believe this. You know, my own mom stabbing me right here in the heart.
My mother was a whore.
Yeah. I don't believe this. But, God, the idea of Nixon singing half these lines is insane to me. I mean, Nixon for sure would have been like, her compassion was her own hell. You know, like.
Fuck. Do you know what the Latin section
no,
translates to?
What is he actually saying? God knows what weird Oedipal thing he's saying there. What is it?
He says, I invoke the powers of the cross. My mother alone could move the one great God. That's according to one commenter on Genius.com who got 1 thumbs up, so I'm just going to assume they're correct.
Yeah, well, there's a thumb up, I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it must be approved or something. Yeah, I don't know.
By the elites.
Like the Jews.
Yeah, like the Jews. And just instantly hit pause going, give me a minute. And I'm going to take a big breathe and go, where's he going with this? When he did that, Life is Killing Me, I did actually stop it and go, what, whoa, boy, where are you doing, man?
Hey, Josh is Jewish, so he can say, he gets the card. He has the pass to say what he wants. Josh
gave me one of these, and he's like holding it up. It's got a K on it, and his hand's covering the rest. I don't know what it's saying. E at the end? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but this song, this song is the closest. We always jokingly say that Typo Negative would cover other bands, right? And like other songs they would cover, how cool it would be. This might be one of the few times I can imagine, and I don't say this as a knock, I actually mean it very positively, because you are right, this is a much more simple song. This song works amazing, like a big power ballad. I could actually see a band like Foreigner covering this.
Nettie?
Yeah. Like, obviously you don't do it perfect 1-to-1. You do their version of it, so you don't have the like deep, like, you know, like the severe baritone at the beginning or anything. But like, it has the simple song structure of like just anyone who could do a power ballad could like basically fucking take it on, you know? Their other stuff has too many weird sections all over the place that would make it kind of impossible for it to work. So like no other band can do this, especially a regular band from before. And I'm like, this might be a song of theirs that's regular enough and works and functions in one mode. So.
All right. But yeah, next up is We Were Electrocute. This was the other one of Peter's 2 favorite songs. Again, two songs that Kenny and Johnny just completely discount. Johnny was a little more charitable about it. He was like, if this is Peter at his worst, it's still pretty damn good. Yeah. Like just talking about this album as a whole. Kenny was the one who's like, seemed like he just does not like it at all.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. I think it's because he wasn't able to yell suckers or do some kind of gag in the beginning. Maybe he just resented the whole album. Where's our joke track? Funny. And they're like, we don't have one. And Kenny just pouted the rest of the time.
This one's not going to be funny.
Yeah, there's no joke. Oh, Drunk in Paris. We get to go. No, it's actually some cool atmospheric thing Josh does. And they're just kind of like, so where's my gag?
Yeah.
he had like a hand buzzer and like a flower squirting water showing up at the studio. And they're like, no jokes this time.
Fuck. Yeah, this is another great song. Like, I love this. It's a really light poppy song for them. One thing I will note, those crackling it sounds like a crackling vinyl record at the beginning is definitely going to throw me off whenever I actually get my hands on this record.
Oh yeah, you're going to be like, why does it sound way more crackly than normal?
Why is it crackling?
Why does it crackle when it plays?
Yeah, I have a quote from Peter about this one, actually. He says,
what do you got?
It's about a former ex-girlfriend. She was quite stunning, and people, older couples actually, would always stop us and say what a nice-looking couple we were. I just came up with this word, electro-cute. I don't know how.
You know what's funny? My first reaction to that was it made me think of like the one thing that existed for a year and a half, like 02, 03, which was Electro Clash.
Yeah, me too. Right? It always made me think of that too. It sounds like the name of an Electro Clash song.
Yeah, it does. like
Hot Heat or some shit.
Yeah, or Peaches. like the title feels like something I was expecting just to see. If I just saw it as a title alone, I would have assumed this would be something I'd see on that Catatonics Youth page.
Yeah.
But it actually turns out to be a much sweeter, like, as we put it, it's very pop, but it's very sweet. Yeah. Like it goes up. And even the opening, you got the la 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 la, like in the beginning is so fucking funny.
It's very light and airy. Josh's production flourishes here. The synth horns and stuff all feel very Beatles-esque.
Yeah,
and that Marshall drum thing that it does.
Yeah,
it's just
I'm a sucker for Marshall drums, actually.
You get more sitar on this one too.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's right. Oh, that's
not quite as prominent as before, but it is in there.
It's no Norwegian steel, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, content-wise, it does just seem like a nice reminiscence, which I guess he'd have to because his other relationship had finally fully bottomed out in the worst way with him having to go to jail.
Yeah. It is like a bittersweet song because he sounds like kind of wistful and nostalgic. He really sells it, but the lyrics in the final verse and the bridge get a little more biting. Like even though I still miss your lips, you're about as real as your tits.
For a second, I was going to say, is this going to be that category of song like Todd Rundgren's Hello, It's Me, or like the Gin Blossoms' Hey, Jealousy, where you're currently in a weird kind of a bit of a state, and then you're just kind of going back into the old exes in your mind and being like, weren't things were pretty good then, right? You kind of start trying to hit people up like, no, man, it was... we had some times, he's trying to do, at least in the case of Hey Jealousy, I think lyrically that guy, the narrator of the song literally is like, I'm in no state for driving and I got no place to go.
Yeah.
And then he starts immediately being like, well, you could trust me not to sleep around this time. He's just kind of like, if I hadn't blown the whole thing years ago, I wouldn't be alone. And it's like, oh, this is no longer sweet reminiscence. This is desperate reminiscence. I'm trying to escape.
Yeah,
I'm escaping through the past, and so that's why I'm like, I wonder if his gets more bitter and cutting by the end. So I don't think it sounds quite the same.
Yeah, it is a nice song though.
It is until, like I said, when you point out that last part, I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, never mind that. Then I was gonna say this sounds like it's just reminiscence, and I'm like, it's reminiscence that just suddenly where it just turns at the last second.
Yeah, but once again, We Were Electrocute. That was in Freddy versus Jason for some reason, which seemed to annoy Kenny in the quote I read last episode, but it's a fun movie actually.
It's funny, it works better than you'd expect.
Yeah, it's light. It's a good time. And Kelly Rowland ad-libs calling Freddy the F slur. So again, happy Pride Month. She's like, what kind of F word wears a Christmas sweater?
Unfortunately, Freddie says a slur back, but we can't repeat it.
Robert Englund also ad-libbed that one. That's why he didn't come back for any movies after that.
That's why that was his last Freddie movie.
He didn't really.
No,
Robert
of
Englund
course
like
not. My God.
I don't want anyone to actually think we were being serious.
Yeah. The last thing we want is them thinking we mean it.
But so yeah, I guess the only thing I'd say is that I love that outro when we just get the drums and Peter's bass and like the atmospheric stuff from Kenny like scratching on the strings and stuff, doing pick scrapes.
Yeah.
Very cool. Pete's little bass riffs are really nice. Yeah, I feel like it's one of their, to me, it's one of their signature songs. I always assumed this was like a really popular song, but it's pretty, even on this album, it's not one of the most listened to.
I think
it's like
the thing that really gets it for me, I think, is the production. I think the production levels near the end, I was going to make a joke because you said it's like the Beatles. But I was going to say, it reminds me of things that are trying to be like that period of Beatles, like specifically like the Hey Jude era version where you really like bump it up. And I was going to say, It's more like sowing the seeds of love from Tears for Fears level production, where you just kind of keep doing it, but adding more and more on the same verse over and over again.
I haven't heard that, but yeah.
If you ever hear the full version of that song, you're just like, oh my God, their Beatles worship was like over the fucking moon on that song.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, including like including horns and everything in there. It's very much like that. Church organs, the whole. It really is a kitchen sink song.
Nice. Well, that's all I've got for We Were Electrocute. Are you good on that one?
Oh yeah, I'm very good on that.
All right, so next up we have IYDKMIGTHTKY, in parentheses, gimme that. I mean, it's, if you don't kill me, I'm going to have to kill you. You hear that refrain a lot, but just starts out with that, give me that,
give me that, give me that. That's kind of what I say when I'm hungry and I want sugar. Yeah. Give me that, give me that.
This one is it's sort of a follow up to Der Untermensch. No,
actually, I was gonna jokingly say it's actually his follow up to Life Is Killing Me. When it's still like the first line is like the Jews, and it's just like, and this is what they say. Give me that. Just give me that.
But yeah, Peter. This one seems to be about like Peter's ex and or the guy she married, whose jaw Peter broke and got thrown in the clink for.
Oh my God!
But yeah, he said. That's about one person who I cannot mention, but I'm sure there will be others.
George Soros. I love the idea that he's like already like super ahead of the curve. No,
that was what Prophet of Doom is about.
Yeah, it's about George Soros. Gimme That is super interesting because the way it first opens, I'm kind of like, what the hell is this even about, right? And once you get the main part, which actually sounds really fucking cool. I love when he says the whole title. If you don't kill me.
You get those really cool synth parts from Josh. The bow wow 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 wow.
I'm gonna have to kill you. It's so great, but I will say, he would. If God forbid he was ever accused of like a domestic violence, this song would have been totally like, they would have brought that doctor who used to throw all those kids in prison for listening to Iron Maiden. They would have brought that guy out. That Dr. Death guy out there. They would have brought him in on the stand and be like, what kind of healthy man says a thing like this in a song? Just like a bunch of like jurors fanning themselves. For some reason it's a southern court now. It's no longer in New York. This would happen.
I mean, between this song and A Dish Best Served Coldly, it definitely seems like his whole experience in between these two albums was influential on his lyrics, I'll say.
Yes.
It seems like he's just basically alluding to that. He's basically saying like, oh yeah, it's about, it has to deal with a legal case and I cannot talk about it right now.
I'm not at liberty.
Yeah, I mean,
to discuss this ongoing case.
Yeah. This was another one that was, sort of a slow burn for me. It sort of crept up on me, but it's a kick-ass song.
Yeah.
Like that whole, like you said, that part where he says the title. It's just, I mean, even like the verse with that like goofy sounding like synth. It sounds like a synth harmonica or some shit going on in there. It sounds like kind of chintzy, but that that part is cool and like,
I dig it.
I don't know.
Once again,
and the lyrics just Pete being darkly comic as usual.
The idea of Pete that being used against him on trial, and it would be one of those two. That shit would be fucking Exhibit A, and then they'd be like, well. The jurors kind of understand his sense of humor, okay. And then they'd be like, okay, then Exhibit B, jackhammer rape, Fuck, he's going away forever.
Yeah.
Well, what about the Peter who sang "Love You to Death"? That's what about Green Man?
Love you to what?
What's kind of funny as I've brought up The Cure an awful lot for this, and I don't know if Peter's ever really referenced them or not, but there is a song that's never ever been officially released that The Cure has played live. Used to be very consistently for about 5 years. Then they put it away, and then it pops out sporadically once in a blue moon.
Oh,
and it's called.
I know what you're talking about, and they have not played it live, but they've only played it live, but the Beach Boys covered it. It's called Kokomo.
Yeah, that was the Cure song. Yeah,
that's the Cure's song. Not many people know that.
Oh God,
sorry. Continue.
No, but it's literally. It's literally titled "All I Have to Do Is Kill Her," and I always thought, and it sounds very frenzied and very. I guess you may put it like psychotic. The song has little to no real structure. It's from the same like album sessions that made the song Primary and the Pornography sessions. It's from that, but it's way more like aggressive and really like mean, and it does a lot of like weird like distorted effects on it. And then it does sound like he's kind of describing the idea of murdering someone. It's like really quite harrowing for them. And so like, and the super long title, including "Kill Her," it's always there. And I'm like looking at this like, oh, is that? Because I remember looking at this when I had the record. I'm like, what the fuck kind of song title is this?
All right, folks, that was part 2 of Life is Killing Me. We cut this one off here because we didn't want it to be a 3-hour episode, but part 3 is already recorded. It'll be out in about a week. We do the rest of the songs. We do our cover choices and our recommendations and more spoofs and goofs as always. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, rate, review, subscribe, follow, whatever the fuck, wherever you listen to us. Tell your friends about us. Give us a follow on the socials at Pod is Killing Me, even though we don't post much. Happy Pride Month. Bye.